Okay. So I know stress is something day to day similar thing that happens to us, right? And but there is something we have distress, we have eustress, right? So distress is something which has negative impact on us, which causes us, let's say, headache. We are constantly worrying, we are bothered about, we are stressing about it nonstop, right? And eustress is positive stress which leads to a positive result. Like, let's say, for example, I can be stressed about any exam, but because I'm stressed, it is making me study more. And as a result, I'm performing better in the exams and I am doing good. Again, this stress can also be negative if that stress is affecting me so much that I'm not able to study, I'm tensed, I'm nervous. So you can recognize which is eustress and how which is distress, and how you can convert your distress to eustress, right? So what is burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, mental, physical exhaustion brought on by prolonged or repeated stress, right? So when, let's say, for example, you are worried extremely for a single thing for a long, long, long time, definitely you will feel burnout. I will give you an example. So you are driving a car and you need to refill it, right? So you refilled it and you're driving, driving, driving. You can see the fuel is not there and you're still driving it. So what will happen? You can write down in the chat box. So what will happen if the fuel is almost over and you are continuing with the driving? Yes, accident. You will either, for you will have accident, or the car will explode, or the engine will explode, or there will be gas coming out. Something or other thing will happen, right? So same goes for our body also, right? We need to refuel ourselves, we need to recharge ourselves. Similarly, example, if I would say phone running on low battery, if your phone is on low battery and you're just charging little bit and then keeping on low battery, and you want that phone to run throughout the day, will that be possible? Anyway, anyhow, that you can make your phone run till to the end of the night, is it possible? No, it is not. We have to charge our phones, right? Time to time we do charge our phones because we use it day to day. So similarly, in our day to day lives, we also need to charge ourselves. We also need to refuel ourselves. Otherwise, if we run on low battery, we will feel irritated, frustrated, annoyed. We will feel angry, we will lash it out. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of other symptoms that will constantly affect our day-to-day lives, right? So burnout is something like that, which affects us constantly in our day-to-day life, which stays with us. We are not even understanding. We are performing on low battery, if I would say. Low battery, non-stop, and we are doing it. And then one day what happened? We explode. We feel like I can't do anything anymore. We might have a nervous breakdown or something like that. Just a minute. Yeah. So how does stress affects us? Right. So there are the stress affects us on in three ways. One is our bodily behavior, that is the physical symptoms. One is on our mood, that is the outward behavior that we express. And one is on our cognitive, that is on our brain, like how it affects us, right? So let's say on your behavior, that is what we are doing with outside, is we either end up overeating, binge eating, less eating, okay, angry outbursts. We end up smoking more cigarettes or drinking alcohol because we are extremely stressed, or any amount of substance that we are abusing it, that we are doing it more. And we are socially withdrawn also. We don't feel like talking to anybody. Suddenly you will feel less energetic, and you don't want to connect with anybody. You are taking yourself out and putting in the corner, and you're not interacting and socializing, right? On your mood, how does stress affects on your mood? So let's see, anxiety. We have anxiety, we are constantly anxious. Okay, I have a presentation tomorrow, though even I'm prepared or I have a project that I have to present tomorrow something, I know I'm prepared, but I will still be constantly anxious about it because I am burnt out, I am tired, I haven't taken proper rest, right? Depression. Now, depression here can means extreme sadness. You can function day to day, but you are still depressed. So there is something called functional depression where you're doing your work, you're eating, but you still are not happy and you don't know what's happening with you. You don't find the meaning, you don't find motivation, you don't find the will, you don't find the meaning of your existence, and it affects you. Again, feeling overwhelmed. For small, small things, you will start feeling extremely overwhelmed in your day-to-day life. Even if a small task is given to you, you will think that, oh my God, this is such a humongous task. I have to do so much. And every small thing starts affecting you too much. You also end up overthinking a lot, worrying a lot, right? Now, how does stress affects our body? It shows in our body through different way of symptoms. Headache, we have headache here on the top, behind. We have body pain, muscle pain. We have extreme fatigue, like first one where somebody answered tired, extremely exhausted emotionally, mentally, and physically. We are extremely exhausted. Sleep problem. Either you will end up sleeping way too much or you will end up not at all sleeping, right? Because we are stressed, either we are constantly thinking about it and that's going in our mind and we are not able to get sleep. Or we will end up sleeping so much because I don't want to think about it and I'm sleeping it so that I'll find it difficult to face the reality. So all these are effects of stress, and I want you all to observe this. If you have within yourself, or if you see somebody, with somebody else that somebody is going through this, definitely talk to that person, reach out to that person, ask that person, is everything all right? Take a professional help or talk to your manager about it. But if you also feel you are going through this, that you need a break, that you need small break, you need pause maybe in your life. Now, what is the psychological impact of COVID-19 in India? So you can see in the pie chart that 74.1% experience psychological distress, right? And during lockdown, there were no boundaries between work and family, right? The boundaries were blurred. We were working in the same space where we were sleeping, and it was affecting us. We didn't know how to manage family and work. We were almost 12 hours nonstop in front of our screens, and it did affect us a lot. Anxiety, you can see 38.2 people went through anxiety because nobody was able to get out. Everybody was stuck into one place in the four walls, and nobody was able to communicate. Depression 10.5%. People actually became depressed a lot during those days because, again, everything became virtual and there was not much of face-to-face connection or social connection, and the impact was really, and we took time to get out of it. And again, we got so much used to work from home that we found again going back to office was difficult because that became so normal for us, right? Now, let's understand about parental burnout. How many of you are parents here? I just want to understand, like, did you ever felt parental burnout, anything like that? Or what is your idea of parental burnout? So, parental burnout is when you are constantly focusing on your children, is yes, stress from kids, right? Extreme stress from your kids, you're constantly focusing on their needs and you are aware about everything. You're hyper alert, right? And you're constantly playing multiple roles. You're being their friend, you're being their mother, you are being their teacher, you're doing everything, all of that together. You don't have enough time for you. And especially during lockdown, I think for teenager to small kids, parents had to go through a lot. They had to manage work, children, school, tuition, everything together. And also kids do started having behavioral issues because they were not able to go out, they were not able to talk, they were not able to communicate. So everything was inside those four walls, right? So parental burnout can affect your relationship with your partner, and it can lead to tension, arguments, resentment, right? Especially when school was not happening. There was no boundaries where the kids got space or you got space for your own self, a break that everybody needs, right? Yes, we do play a role of a parent, but also at the same time, we are also ourselves, right? We need that space where we can just be ourselves and we don't have to worry about everything. So that's why time to time you need to take breaks, you need to let it out, you need to take space as in from your children and tell them that, okay, this is the time I want you to, like, let's say, be busy in that particular room. Give me some time, I'll be and I'll come back. So giving the children space and having your own space is also very important, especially listening to your own needs. That, okay, I want to do this, let me do it for one day. But what happens once we become parents, we stop listening to our needs totally. And that's where difficulty starts. And also, parents have unrealistic expectations from themselves that we have to be this super parent, we have to understand, we have to provide everything that our child needs. Even though I'm going through intense stress, I will keep it to myself, or I won't show it out, or I won't discuss it with my partner, right? And culturally, if you see parents who do a lot for their children and focus on the children, is appreciated. And if it's something little bit beyond that, it is not, let's say, appreciated. So, it can take a toll on your mental stress, right? You can have confusion, you can have forgetfulness, you can have poor sleep. So take some time, bond with your child, and also take some time where you can bond with your own self or enjoy things that you do for your own selves, be it playing a game, be it connecting with your old friends, be it, virtually connecting or physically connecting, but everybody needs their space, right? Now, there's another term called caregiver burnout, right? What is caregiver burnout? Any idea? Caregiver burnout. What do you think is caregiver burnout? You can write in the chat box. Caregiver burnout. So we all have parents or guardians in our home, right? So what happens? Individuals who take care and support others physically, emotionally, socially, individuals who sacrifice a lot for the aging parents or special children or people with disabilities, or let's say people with chronic illness, all this fall under caregivers. And when you are caring for them, you're giving for them for a prolonged time, you might end up getting that burnout because you are again not getting time for yourself or your needs, and you're just taking constantly care for others, right? And caregivers are often so busy caring for others that they tend to neglect their own emotional, physical, and spiritual health. They constantly work on the caregiver's body, medicines, their illness, whatever is in you. You give all of your best just to take care of that person at that particular time, right? So we can have a lot of mental health issues or stress, anxiety, right? And that can make it more difficult for us, and mostly in long-term situations. So when it comes to a role of a caregiver, you might feel more confused, that what to do, what not to do. Is it my job to do? How to do it? How to go about it? When will I get time for myself? Because we focus or give all our attention to them. But one thing I would like to tell you, if we don't fill our own tank with love, how can I feel into somebody else? Right? If my tank is empty, like again, I'm on low battery, I cannot recharge or give my positivity to another person. Right? I need to also be full charge so that I can give it to another person, so that I will have. But if I'm on running on low battery, I won't be able to do that. But that is what happens most of the times. So, and especially when somebody is sick in the house and you have to take care, you forget about everything and you sacrifice everything, just you go behind that person. But like I said again, time to time, take some, space, indulge into things that you also enjoy because you do deserve that. You need to fulfill your tank at the same time. Otherwise, you won't be able to provide for others. So, what are some of your signs of burnout? What do you think are your signs of your burnout? Anybody, you can write in the chat box. Have you ever felt burnout? What were those signs and symptoms? Mm-hmm. I saw one answer, yes. Weakness, okay. Weakness as in physical weakness, yes, our body feels very weak and tired. Anger, very good answer, yes. We feel lot more angrier than other days. Frustrated, yes, very much. We feel extremely frustrated. Any more answers? That is coming to your mind? Yes, getting drained. Yup. We feel very quickly exhausted or drained. Like you can see in the slide that I have put, if you have any other symptoms that you have felt, definitely, I want you all to communicate, put down in the chat box, interact, so that it will be easier for me also that, okay, we both are on the same page, we are understanding. Whatever I'm discussing, it's reaching out to you, right? So, what are the signs of burnout? Easily flustered or frustrated, like you said, very much frustrated, and you are getting irritated, annoyed, forgetful or foggy. Half of the things you are not able to remember because you are not in the present, in the present mind, or you're not in mindful. You are thinking something else, you're doing something else. You're extremely tired. Small things are also you're not able to do. Even like for waking up in the morning and getting up to do, you're not able to wake up. You find difficulty to wake up. You're finding difficulty even to go and take a bath because you feel so tired. Yes, you're very quick to anger. You feel angry in every situation. That's an instant emotion or reaction that's happening. Where previously, let's say you used to respond, in a normal tone voice, uninterested in things that you used to enjoy. Yes. So when you're extremely burned out, what happens? You lose interest in things, you lose motivation. Let's say you used to enjoy swimming, and then because you're extremely burned out or fatigued, you are no more enjoying swimming. You don't feel like doing swimming at all. You feel hopeless or helpless. Yes, you feel extremely hopeless that what's happening, you don't know how to go ahead, what to do ahead, and you feel helpless also because you don't know what's happening because you're not aware, and that is something day to day happening with your body and with your mind, right? So observe the symptoms of your burnout and know that, okay, if this is something happening to me, I have to do something about it. I have to take care of it. Now, let's understand the stages of burnout, which is very important. How do we reach to different, like five, that is the extreme stage, one being the honeymoon, right? Now, honeymoon is a word which is the happy phase, flowery phase, right? Where you don't have any issues or anything. So it's a, let's say this phase is usually the start of a new job role, or and you have a lot of enthusiasm, high energy levels, and commitment. You feel very productive, and you want to do everything. You're creative, you're happy to take all the responsibility, and you have this drive that, okay, I want to prove myself, I want to do the best, right? So that's the honeymoon phase. Now, after the honeymoon phase is over, comes the onset of stress, how the stress slowly starts. So, of course, every time everything won't go smoothly at work, right? Or be it in your personal life. So, slowly that initial optimism that was there slowly starts to fade, and there are difficult days, right? Where you feel a sense of stagnation, where you feel stuck, where you feel you are not being appreciated, maybe your productivity has reduced, you don't know how to go about it, and you don't feel satisfied from most of the work that you are doing. However, if the balance starts to tip towards your own needs in order to work harder or longer, you can actually develop more stress and symptoms like irritability, trouble, anxiety, withdrawal, and all of that, headaches, poor sleep, like we talked. So this is the onset of stress where it is just the beginning, right? Now comes chronic stress. What is chronic? Chronic is called something when it is for a long term, right? So the stress, let's say it's there within you, and you're not doing anything about it, and you're continuing with that stress. Every day you're working, and what is happening? The space for joy, happiness, or the activities that you enjoy becomes more limited because you're constantly working. You're stressed about something. Let's say you have to finish a project, and it's going on and on and on. So this will lead to not balancing other aspects in your personal life. This will lead to more burnt out, for example, and more fatigued. Your stress level will increase. You will feel a sense of failure. You will feel a sense of powerlessness, and you will start feeling inadequate, incompetent in many aspects, and you will start overthinking about it also. You will have a lot of exhaustion and cynicism, like, okay, this is, I won't be able to do. Like, your confidence also starts going low, right? So you might notice more increasing of your withdrawal, avoidance, or increased reliance on substance abuse. You might start smoking up more, or drinking more, or anything else, any substance. Now comes the burnout stage, right? Where you are actually feeling extremely burnt out. So, how can you understand? Like we discussed the symptoms, right? You feel apathy, right? Apathy is opposite of empathy, where you don't feel anything. You are numb, you are exhausted, you are despair, you have disillusionment, and things will seem hopeless, totally hopeless, right? And you will have doubts about yourself. Like I said, the confidence will be extremely low, and you will start seeing physical symptoms in your body. You will have digestive issues, you will have body pain, you will have bloating, and you will see changes in your behavior. You're snapping out very quickly, you're angry, you're bursting out, you might have a breakdown, and that is something that you're not doing in your day-to-day lives. That is going to happen when you're extremely burnt out, and you will see how much it is affecting your personal life and your interpersonal relationships also, right? Now finally goes to the habitual burnout, when you know you're having burnout and you're not doing anything. It's like you are on low battery, you're on 10%, but you're still running. You're still continuing with the 10% of battery that you have, right? So here what happens, it goes to extreme emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion, and it may lead to depression and severe anxiety disorder. And you will find, or you will struggle to wake up and work, or do something about it, and you would definitely need a support, because suddenly you will feel everything is empty and void, and you won't feel interested or to do anything. You will feel nothing. So don't reach to the stage of habitual burnout, because once you reach there it will be very difficult. Like we always say, prevention is better than cure, right? So if I know that this is something happening to me, I will take care of it. I will take professional help. For example, the moment we have fever or stomach ache or anything, we do take medicine, right? We immediately take medicine or go to a doctor. We take care of our physical health. But when it comes to mental health, we are constantly having stress, right? That time we, hesitate to take professional help. For example, imagine this is, let's say, a bucket of water. I know this is a small bottle, but imagine this is the bucket and the water inside is the stress. So, what is happening every day? The stress is coming. You're adding water every day constantly, right? And then what happens? Then, then when you're constantly adding, the water will overflow, right? The water will overflow. So how can you keep the balance of the water till here, which is a balancing thing and it is not gonna overflow? Can you tell me how can you balance it out? Let's say this is a bucket and the water is there, the water is stress, and the stress is adding every day, right? So how can I keep the water to the balance so that it doesn't overflow? Anything in your mind? You can write down in the chat box. Yes, don't overfill. But how? Let's say stress will keep coming, right? Tomorrow, something else, something from friends, something from work, something from professional life, something from personal life. So, how can I keep it on the same level? Is by, let's say, making small holes here, right? So every time the stress is even coming, it's pouring out. Now, what are the small holes? It's going out, it's connecting with your friends, it's taking care, it's yoga, it's therapy, it's having an action plan, it's workout, be cycling, swimming, going out for a walk with your partner. The small holes are required, which are small breaks, which is very important. Yes. So that's how we can balance this. Remember, so I shouldn't let the water flow over. I have to keep it balanced. So even though the stress keep coming in, you are able to maintain it because you are taking time for the small things in your life. But if you are not able to, that is when the difficulty happens, and that is where you reach to an extreme burnout stage. Now, how to overcome burnout? What do you think? How can you overcome burnout? I've talked so much about symptoms, how much it affects. How can you think it will, you know, help you overcome it? By doing things you like? Yes, very good. Anybody else? Any other answer? Anybody else? How can we overcome burnout? Hmm? Okay, I can see answers. Talk to people and let them know about your struggles. Very good answer. Being passionately involved with something, yes. But these are all small things that is definitely there to overcome burnout. But the most important thing that is required to overcome burnout is rest. That is something we don't give it to ourselves, right? Rest, proper, solid 7 to 8 or at least 9 hours of sleep. We don't get that time. Either we are busy with screen, with phone, with work or something. We are constantly intaking something in our day-to-day lives. Load of information and we are not getting that rest. So first thing, yes, of course, all those things that I said doing is, but I'll tell you one thing. In certain days, we measure our productivity by, the amount of work we have done. This many things I've completed, this many things I've achieved. I feel I was very productive today. But sometimes just resting can be the most productive thing in your day because you're giving that recharge, you're fueling it up. So that is required to give yourself that time, that space, that rest that your body and your mind needs. And also another thing that I know our body still we sleep, let's say 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Okay, but our mind is working. We need to give rest to our mind also, right? Mind is also very important. So that is something we don't really do. Even when we are sleeping, we are having dreams. Our mind is kind of active. So again, practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation, taking just 10 minutes of pause in your day, doing nothing, just nothing. Maybe you can put a nice background music in the behind, but just taking a pause, small pause for 15 minutes where you're talking to nobody. And another thing that you can do is internet fasting that I say. Just switch off your internet for 1 hour and see. Keep your phone away and just see what you can do, how you can manage. Previously, we used to read books, we used to color, paint, indulge in so many things. But now everything is taken away by phone. We are constantly checking notifications, social media, this or that. And like I said, too much of overloaded information is coming. That is also something which is stressful and can lead to burnout at the end of the day. Right? So proper rest is very, very, very important. Now, let's understand the 7 types of rest, right? Physical. So, what are the 7 times that we can see? Physical, mental, sensory, creative, emotional, social, right? In so physical rest, we all know that is sleeping, where you're taking active rest in your body, right? Taking a nap, power yoga, or it can be, stretching, massage, circulation, right? Maybe we can do a small stretching right now. Maybe you can just rotate your shoulders like this right now. If you are stretched, just slowly and feel the rotation, right? And maybe stretch your hands like this little bit. Because of the screen, we are constantly sitting, right? You can stretch your hands up, rotate your face to left, to center, to right, to center, and feel the rotation, right? So that is physical. Now, what is mental? Now, mental is like you are scheduling short breaks to tell your mind to slow down. Like I said, 10 minutes pause where you will be doing nothing and you will sit down and maybe listen to an instrumental music, relaxing music, nature sound. Okay. Uh, Small breaks, then you can, jot it down, make a list of things that you're supposed to do, maybe more organized, and stop your brain from constant chatter that's happening, right? We constantly have thoughts coming to us. We have more than 60,000 thoughts actually that we have inside our head and that constantly keep coming us, but most of them are not important. But we end up focusing so much that we forget to be in the present moment, right? Now, coming back to sensory, how can we give sensory rest? So, for example, you need to take, break from gadgets like the overstimulation. We see reels, we are seeing YouTube videos, shorts. So every 10 seconds, 1 minute, something or other is coming, and it's like a dopamine rush that's happening, right? That is keeping us awake also at night. And that is not letting us sleep. But dopamine addiction is also not good, right? If we are constantly having dopamine rush, just the moment I sit by myself, I won't be able to sit. I'll feel uncomfortable and I'll get bored easily. But I'll tell you, sometimes just sit and get bored. We need to stop being dependent on dopamine rush so much. We're addicted to dopamine that's inside our brain releases to make us feel more interested into things. If you see Netflix, you will see immediately by the time one episode get over, it moves on to the next episode. Right? Before even clicking it, it goes. And even though you're sleepy, you want to watch it. That is the brain keeping awake, right? So maybe we need to pause from gadgets, and maybe you can read a book, feel the book, the texture, connect with plants, maybe gardening a little bit more, right? It might help you. Creative. So creative is you're looking for inspiration, you're looking around, you're looking beautiful patterns, you're trying to maintain the passion inside you, you're looking for inspiration and you are doing something about it. So creative is something that actually makes us feel satisfied and content. Let's say I tell my clients who comes to me for sessions, I tell them to buy adult mandala coloring books, and while talking to me also they can do that. Or especially when they feel extremely stressed. And what happens, our brain starts paralyzing and ruminating about one particular stuff, right? So that is where how to pause it and use it or channelize it in a more creative way is to do coloring or doodling also, right? You, whatever you're feeling, you draw it in a small cartoonic way. You will love to see the creativity. And again, you shouldn't judge yourself that, oh, I should have drawn a better circle or I should have drawn a better triangle. No, do whatever you feel like that comes within you, right? Okay. After creative comes emotional. Now, emotional is something where we need to let out, express from time to time, right? But here, emotional also means saying no. If I know that I have too much of work and somebody ends up giving me more work at the end of the day, I can choose to say no. I have to be assertive that, okay, this is the first thing I'll do it tomorrow. But today I already have prior engagements or I have a lot of work and I have to finish up on that. So you're taking space and boundaries. If, let's say, you would have taken that work, you would have anger and resentment and you wouldn't have done better. But the next, if you take it, you're much more in a fresher mind. You're much more relaxed and rejuvenated after the sleep so that you can take the work and do it better. Right? So emotional means unwinding, cutting off on people pleasing. So as Indians, if you see, we are mostly people pleasers because that's how our parents have somehow taught. They have taught to be kind to others, but not to ourselves. And that's where the problem is. And even if somebody is telling at the cost of our own happiness, we are not able to say no. And then we constantly keep that anger and guilt within ourselves, and it affects us internally, right? So maybe we can start saying no or stop people pleasing and say it in a nice way that, you know what, this is beyond my capacity at this time, or this is beyond my headspace. Can we talk it about some other day, or I can help you some other day, but not today. I know these are difficult, but you can take baby steps, right? Taking time for yourself, expressing your emotions in a healthier way, talking to your own self, understanding which emotion you're going to, right? Now, social. Social is surround with yourself who uplifts you, who nurtures you, not with the people who constantly talk about negative stuff and constantly talk about, indirectly harming or just who pulls you down. Do not be around with those people. Be with people who uplifts you, who gives you more confidence, who supports you and helps you to focus more on yourself, right? And where you can be more fully yourself. You don't have to be pretend to be somebody else. So try to surround with those kind of people that uplifts you. Spiritual. Now, let's say spiritual is something you can do by prayer, by meditation, by being part of a community service. There should be a sense of love, belongingness, and acceptance and purpose. Now, I'll tell you one thing. When you're doing a prayer, technically you're doing a self-talk. But we believe prayer has so much of strength, and when we achieve it or when we get it, we are thankful and grateful to, so let's say, God. But have you seen subconsciously you are praying to an entity which has no face or structure, like which is not visible. But when you're saying those things, you are listening to it. It is coming to you that God give me the strength to do this. You are telling yourself and you're getting the strength. So you need to explore the spiritual side of yours, and this will in fact help increase your self-esteem and your self-confidence, right? So these are the seven types of rest, unwinding, breaks that you can do to yourself. And in all of this, you can add traveling also, time to time traveling. It comes under unwinding only, where even for 2 days or one day, that you're not worried about work, that you're not worried about anything. You just want to sit and relax. Now, traveling can be you are traveling 10 places in the day. That can be exhausting for you if you are actually burnt out and you are not. But it can be like you're relaxing in a pool or by the mountain, sitting by the mountains, having a sip of tea or a coffee, or having Maggie or something like that, where you're not doing anything, you're just sitting and enjoying the view. There is pure sense of calmness, less chaotic, and peacefulness within you. So that is also something that you can definitely do, right? So these are the 7 types. You can write it down and you can see in which aspects you are lacking and you need to take care of it. So let's create an action plan. Now, I want you all to maybe you can write it down. What are the things you can do to not reach to a burnout stage, or something that is lacking within you, you think, or that balance is not there and you need to work on that particular area. It can be social, like all out of the 7 that I said, no? Anything that you feel that you need to focus on that, or you have not been doing that for a long time. You can write in the chat box. By working out, very good. Taking proper rest and care, eating healthy. Yes. In physical also, yes, a very good point that you said, eating healthy. I'll tell you another thing, when you eat junk food or anything, even before eating it, we feel this happiness, we feel this rush, we feel this excitement. But long term, it is not good, right? Even let's say before working out, we don't feel good, we don't want to go. But any good thing, let's say you're eating healthy food, has long term after effects. So after having a good workout session, you feel good. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, we procrastinate, we don't feel like going, we don't feel like doing, right? Similarly, for food also, we feel like eating healthy. Ah, should I eat? No, it's not tasty, this, that. But the long-term effects are good, the after effects are good. So remember, always something that you're doing, don't focus on the pre-state of emotion, focus on the after state of emotion, how you feel about yourself and your body, right? Not take stress. Yes, but how to not take stress if stress keeps coming? So I have to start balancing out the stress. I cannot omit the stress from my life, right? But if something comes, I won't rush or jump to it. I'll try to measure pros and cons and try to do it more tactfully or in an emotional, mature way to deal with the situation rather than jumping to conclusions or being extremely emotional and hyper about it, right? When my emotional state won't be in a high intensity, I will be more in a calmer down. That time I'll sit and do the action plan. Okay, this is the stress. What can I do about it? How can I work on this? Look more into the solution rather than nagging about the problem or the stress, right? Great. Anybody else that you think can be your action plan? Also, if you have any questions, you can write down in the chat box. Anybody else, any other action plan that's in your mind that you think you need to do? Anybody planning to travel anytime soon recently? It can be a small 1 day trip also. Anybody? You can write down in the chat box. So, whenever we are stressed or we are going through something, sit down with your feelings, talk to yourself, and make an action plan that what can I do about it? There is this feeling stage, and then there is this solution oriented stage. So first we go through the feeling stage, right? So after that, then you go to the solution oriented stage. So ask yourself, which stage am I? Try to start meditation. Very good. Even if not meditation, you can start with mindfulness, because meditation is a long uh, time thing, less than 30 minutes or something, and you have to wander in your thoughts, and it takes time to reach to that stage where I am not impacted or affected. Maybe you can start with 10 minutes of mindfulness. You can search body scan mindfulness, for, loving kindness mindfulness, anything. For 10-15 minutes, that every day I will take some time, I'll unpause my brain. I take rest when I sleep, but my brain doesn't get rest. So for 10 minutes, nothing else in the world that I'm gonna do, but just give rest to my brain and my mind. Anybody else, any other action plan or anything that comes to your mind that you need to do, that you are planning to do? Also, we are almost towards the end of our session. So in case if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. Thank you, everybody, fatigue and burnout. And like I said, if you have any questions, you still have the time, you can ask me. I'll just put Akash, can you put, or I'll just put the feedback link.
Sure, I'll put it in the group.
Yeah, yeah. Please. Any feedback that you have or any other topics that you would like to, you can feel free to let us, know in that feedback also, that you want us to talk to you about, you want more understanding about, related to any emotional well-being topics or psychological well-being topics.
Well, Titip, thank you for such a wonderful session. And
You're
definitely,
welcome.
the telling us, 7 stages and, 7 stages to rest as well, in a lot of ways. So I think it's pretty insightful session and, looking forward for such sessions in future as well. Well, thank you everyone for joining us and, please log into Akin Care app or on, check out on the LinkedIn page, for upcoming sessions. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.